Hello, hello, hello. We have breaking news regarding the EIDL program. We also have news regarding the recent discussion with the SBA Administrator with the House Small Business Committee that I'll be talking about today. More information on PPP forgiveness. Where do we go from here as we're moving away from COVID? We're still in it, but we're trying to get out of it. Where do we go from here as entrepreneurs and small business owners? We're going to be talking about grants and more things that are related to small business and how you can secure a financial lifeline for yourself and your business. So welcome on in. Excited to have all of you all here. Do be sure to drop a comment, drop your questions, because I will try to make room during this broadcast to answer questions, but we have a lot to get through today. If you are new to our channel, new to us on social media, do like us, do follow us, give this a thumbs up, subscribe. If you are ready to build wealth and build legacy with your business, that's why we are here leveraging this platform to help you get what you need to be successful in business. Okay. So with that said, before I get into the stimulus updates, I just want to provide a reminder to all the women in business here in the U.S. and U.S. territories that we currently have our She Boss Up grant applications open. They've been pouring in all week. We opened it on Monday, November the 15th, and it will close on Friday, November 19th at 9:59 p.m. Eastern, or when we reach 500 applications. Whichever one comes first, that's when it will close. So be sure to get your applications in. It's a really simple application. There is a video that I put out on launch day with myself and other grant committee members explaining the process, letting you know what to expect through this grant application and up through the awards and the announcements of the awardees. So there are plenty of grant programs out there available, and this is one of ours. We're super excited about it. This is our second year. There will be more grants like this. So even if you don't qualify for the grant this time, we have so many grant competitions, pitch competitions, giveaways throughout the year. So you definitely want to make sure you're connected and get on our email subscriber list as well. Okay, so I am going to be showing some videos today because the important thing, an amazing thing that happened is the House Committee on Small Business met with the current SBA Administrator, Isabella Gunsman, to talk about the vision for the SBA and as we rise out of the COVID-19 pandemic. We're now seeing we've seen some of the programs that have closed. PPP has already closed. EIDL is getting ready to close. That's some of the big news that I'm going to be talking about today. But they discuss some important things that you need to know about. So I'm going to be broadcasting that today. It is a 2-hour long discussion. Of course, it will not be two hours long. I'm just going to share with you tidbits, but these tidbits are very important. Later on, I highly recommend that you go to the YouTube channel for the House Committee on Small Business and watch it in its entirety. So I already explained to you that there are advocates out there, including members of Congress, that are pushing to get more relief, to course correct some of the issues and challenges that have been happening with some of these programs, the fraud that has been happening, that takes dollars away from legitimate businesses that need the funding. So I'm going to be sharing that with you today. So I'm going to open it up. I'm getting ready to share my screen, so give me just a second. So it'll be maybe about 3 minutes, but this is an important 3 minutes that I really think you need to see, you need to watch, you need to be able to hear. So this is the first one. Let me just make sure it's showing on my screen. You all that are in the comments, if you can just let me know that you can hear me and see me clearly, I'm getting ready to share the first snippet with you.
And join us today. As we continue to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic, it's critical that SBA provide the resources and information necessary to support the growth of innovative, job-creating small businesses. I believe the Community Navigators Program and its grantees will play a critical role in that, and I really commend this committee and Administrator Guzman for your leadership in the creation and implementation of that program. My district office has helped to recover over $15 million for constituent small businesses through diligent work with SBA's Georgia District Office. So thank you so much for that. We do have a concern that has come up. We've begun to hear in recent weeks from small businesses about the EIDL program. The deadline is approaching on December 31st. And so just a couple questions with respect to that. First of all, does SBA have a plan to process the EIDL applications which are pending in queue between now and December 31st? And will you continue to process the applications after December 31st? Additionally, we are seeing some problems where small businesses can't apply because of holdups and delays in the IRS processing of their 2019 returns. So they're kind of caught in this bind. So the other part of this is SBA working with the IRS to expedite the processing of these returns, or is there something that Congress can do to ensure some small businesses don't miss out on this needed relief?
Thank you so much for the question. When I arrived, I looked at all of our programs from top to bottom just to see what improvements could be made, especially focusing on customer service, technology for process improvements. COVID EIDL is a program that has had challenges, but has delivered nearly $300 billion to businesses across the country. It's affordable patient capital for our businesses. I've moved the COVID EIDL program to our Office of Capital Access to ensure that we could leverage industry best practices and improve the processing time. In fact, we went from 2,000 processed applications a day to 37,000 over the summer. As a result, we were able to clear 600,000 in backlogs on the COVID EIDL program. And further, we're able by the fall to clear a total of $1 million across the entire COVID EIDL package, including the grants and the loans. This program, unfortunately, was challenged with issues in terms of not only processing, but in terms of fraud, as was mentioned earlier. And we were able to reinstate a lot of the policies that have have been in the EIDL program, the traditional disaster loan program, for years, where we've successfully put out $67 billion of disaster loans over the years effectively without fraud. So we're very pleased to be able to institute these longstanding fraud reinstate these longstanding fraud controls onto our program and start to improve customer service as well, which speaks to your point in terms of being able to process the full demand by the end of the year. We feel good that we have the billions available and that we'll be able to distribute those effectively through the communities. And we look forward to working with you and all your constituents in processing. We currently do not have a backlog. The challenges that are in the system for individual borrowers that you might be hearing from oftentimes are due to appeals, multiple appeals. They're oftentimes due to fraud flags. Again, we instituted new fraud controls. And so these people may have gone through the system previously without any fraud checks. And so we're now going through that. So we do feel good about processing the applications. They will be allowed to apply through December 31st. And then we will process them after that. So that is the deadline. Same for the targeted advance, that $10,000 grant. Businesses can apply all the way through December 31st. The supplemental targeted advance is the only one that will have to be processed and distributed before December 31st. So that means your constituents who are eligible for that additional $5,000 grant will need to apply by approximately December 10th. In terms of the IRS processing, we've, as I've said, cleared the backlog on this important program, and so effectively been able to administer it. We do feel that, unfortunately, for those who did not file 2019 taxes, the processing time for a paper application without errors is about 30 days. We're seeing that that could be much longer, up to 20 weeks if they have an amendment. So unfortunately, for that processing times, they're going to need to coordinate closely with the IRS and make sure that all their documents are in order. But if they have their 2019 taxes, we're able to process them efficiently, thanks to the improvements and the gains that we've made on the program.
If we could continue to work with you on that, because we are getting a ton of complaints into our office right now where I absolutely support the anti-fraud measures, of course, but also want to make sure we're actually able to get things done for the small businesses. But thank you so much for the answer. I yield back.
Okay, so that was Isabella Gunsman, her discussing with the House Committee with regards to the EIDL program. Super important that you understand that the EIDL program is coming to a close, right? So it will close December 31st, 2021. So there is still billions and billions and billions of dollars left in the EIDL Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, as well as the targeted EIDL advance cash grants and the supplemental targeted cash grants as well. But you heard her say, so if you get your applications in, they will continue to process them. So it's very important, if you have not applied for the program, whether you haven't applied for the EIDL loan or you haven't applied for the EIDL grant, that you get your applications in, because it is going to close. Now, she also stated that for the supplemental grants, we know that there is only $5 billion available for the supplemental targeted grant of $5,000. Okay, so there's only so much available, but there's still billions of dollars left, because I'll go through the numbers in a minute. So it's about $4 billion that still remain in the program. But this part of the program, you must be awarded, get your funding by December 31st in order to get it at all. So that means really your deadline to get the supplemental grant is December the 10th. So she stated that December the 10th, you do not have to the 31st, because whether there's funds in the program or not, it will be cut off. You will not be able to get it after December 31st. That's just for the supplemental grant. Now, we know that the targeted grant up to 10,000 or the balance thereof, if you receive part of the grant in 2020, you can still get that, okay, beyond. So even if you must apply by December 31st, but they will continue to process it, right? So they will continue to process. If you're denied, you can continue to go through the appeal process as well for your grants. Just a reminder, for the grant program, you must apply for the loan first. So you must be eligible for the EIDL loan program to get to the grant. Now, the SBA will invite you, once you apply for the loan, to apply for the grant. How would they do this? By email. So just the other day, I received a message from one of our viewers that said she just found a reminder email regarding her up to $15,000 grant. Okay, she would have not known had she not followed us. Okay, so don't leave the up to $15,000 on the table. Now, even if you get the 10,000 and don't get the 5, that's still great. That's still great. And you have access to the loan as well, which is an awesome program, okay, where it's a long-term 30-year maturity date on the loan. 2 years you have where you don't have to start paying any money back, but interest does accrue on the program. Now, I will be sharing some upcoming additional snippets from the hearing regarding what the Small Business Committee is expecting moving forward, understanding that small businesses are still suffering. They're still suffering. They're still having challenges, still understaffed, still haven't gotten back up to revenue and profit levels where they were prior to COVID-19, still dealing with supplier challenges, inflation. And so what they want to know, and what we all want to know, is what more relief is coming after this closes, okay? So the expectation is that just because PPP closes and the EIDL program closes, that will not be the end of relief for small business. So we will continue to keep you updated on new programs that roll out from the SBA or other organizations that may be rolling out these different programs. But understand that the SBA, they only administer the programs that have been passed by the House and the Senate and signed into law by the president. Okay, so when you hear, if you go back and listen to some of the comments from the committee members, some of the statements give you the impression that it's the SBA's responsibility to roll out these programs, that they're the decision makers in regards to that, and how much funds go out to administrated and replenished and all of that. That is not the role of the SBA. That is Congress. Okay, so these committee members are Congress members, right? So there's things that they can do and should do to make sure that more relief is made available to small businesses. So even with the EIDL program, we understand that you will have 2 years to apply for an increase. Okay, so again, just because it closes, if you are already in the process, that is good news. Okay, what we need to do is all the millions that still have not applied for the loan or have not applied for the grant, we need to encourage them, share the information, share this video, tag them in it to let them know to check the eligibility and if they're eligible to apply. Now, she did not mention anything related to expanding outside of low-income communities. That is still a concern. That is still understood frustration with many business owners who are, especially those that applied in 2020 with their, even though some of the money was taken and applied to the infrastructure bill that passed and was signed into law, there are still businesses locked out because they're outside, their business is not within a low income community. So we have been monitoring that because there is nowhere near the amount of applicants or approved applicants for the targeted EIDL grant as the money that is available. So we need to close that gap, right? So we need to advocate, continue to petition and stay on them until they expand it, because we don't want the money to go to waste or it to be reallocated, continue to be reallocated when there are still many business owners that should be able to get access to the EIDL grant monies. So if you have questions regarding EIDL, please let me know in the comments. Let me know where you are in the EIDL process as well. As a reminder, the cap for the loan is $2 million. Okay, but you can only qualify for the max allowable for your particular business based on the calculations that are set forth by the SBA. These can be found in the SBA's FAQs on their website at sba.gov/EIDL, EIDL. So if you want to know any information on EIDL, you can go to our YouTube playlist. We have an EIDL playlist, or you could go to the SBA's website there on their EIDL page, and you can find all the information there. For the grant, as it stands right now, for the $10,000, you need to be in a low-income community, have 300 employees or less, and be able to demonstrate that you had at least a 30% decrease in gross revenue in a quarter of 2020 compared to the same quarter in 2019. That meant you had to be making some type of a revenue in 2019 and show that in that quarter there was a loss. So you made it less in 2020. You do not have to be able to show the entire year, but you do have to be able to provide every sale that you made for every month from 2019 to 2021. Up to the month that you're applying for the program. Okay, so we're in November. So when you go in, you should see the table, and it should have up to November 2021, where you are indicating what your business sales are. Okay, for each month from 2019 to November 2021. Okay, for the supplemental grant, you have to still be in a low income community, have 10 employees or less, and be able to show a more significant decrease of 50% at least to be able to qualify for the supplemental grant. So not everybody gets the supplemental grant. Maybe about 75%, I think, is tracking where they qualify for both the targeted and the supplemental grants. Okay, but these programs are great programs. We know she just acknowledged that there, especially under the previous administration, were many challenges, and there continue to be. So even with the improvements, the billions that have been funded, there are still challenges that we need to overcome that are impacting the small business community. So we have to continue to let them know that. When I say let them, let your district and regional SBA office know if you are struggling with getting answers to questions from regarding your application or moving it forward. Let them know. Reach out to your Congress representative. They will have you sign a release. Have them get involved so you can help move your applications along. Now, remember back what she said. They cleared the backlogs already, but there are many businesses in appeal process, and your application may have been flagged for fraud or some type of discrepancy. But whatever it is, you should know where you are in the application process. You should know, your representative or your loan specialist you're talking to should know and be able to guide you through the application, let you know if you are held up, especially if it's been months, what is the holdup with your application. But she told you, if you are in a situation where you are just now filing your 2019, you're going to be waiting, and you may miss the debt. You will be waiting maybe a long time. And if you amend it, so I've been contacted with some individuals that said, well, I just amended my taxes. Okay. So doing that, it is going to cause more delays by doing that. And it can also throw up a fraud flag, right? Because if it's significantly different, because it could appear as though you are now changing your financial information so that you get the loan or the grant. They will be looking at that, okay? People do it. They try it, okay? But this is not, you don't want to play these types of games with the federal government, any of their agencies. So if you're thinking about doing it, I would highly advise you not to do that. Only amend your taxes if you are sure that it was, you need to do it. It was some type of discrepancy on your part or accountant's part or something like that. But you have to be able to explain it, substantiate the changes, and don't expect that they will be processing it overnight, because they won't. Okay. If you're one that applied for an increase and for some reason you didn't get the entire amount that you wanted, make sure you're double checking your own calculations. The calculations is there in the FAQs. You can calculate yourself and see what your maximum amount allowable loan is under the program. And if you have a loan, or you already requested an increase, then you can tell if you've reached the max or not. And if you have not reached the maximum amount, you can request another increase. You can request multiple increases. You don't have to take the full amount up front. You can use what you need and then go back. I just explained to you that you have 2 years to request an increase. So you're good. If you have already submitted your application, they will continue to process it. Okay. So I'm going to get ready to reel up the next part of this video. I think it's really important as well, because there's been a number of different programs, not just the EIDL program, but we've had PPP, we had the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, and we know that there were many challenges, legal challenges, lawsuits, which meant that thousands of businesses that were awarded had their rewards rescinded. The program was not funded to the max that was requested by even some of these committee members. So they already know that they did not properly fund the program. And so they're still, petitioning and advocating for more relief to be provided to all of those who applied for the Restaurant Revitalization Fund that didn't get it, to be able to get it, to get financial relief for their business. So I'm getting ready to reel that up so we can hear what's happening here. Okay, and I'm getting ready to share my screen again. But again, this is important information for you to know what relief is out there, even those that are coming to the close, or those that had challenges, what is happening to make sure that business owners get the relief that they deserve, that they need, and so we know that more is needed.
How tough these days have been for small businesses all around the country. And for you and your team at the SBA. You played an integral role in America's recovery from the pandemic, and most of us are grateful, especially small business owners. I want to begin with the RRF, the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. When it was first opened to applicants, as we all know, Congress reserved the first 21 days of the application period for priority groups, including women and veterans and socially and economically disadvantaged entrepreneurs, the people that needed the support the most. My colleague from Minnesota argues that we got to get rid of equity. I just happen to believe that we should support those who've been denied access and opportunity. I think America's at its best when we support those who have big dreams, especially entrepreneurs, especially veterans. And when I talk about equity, not just economic and racial, but geographic, rural America, we should be supporting entrepreneurs in those parts of the country as well. And while the SBA, of course, succeeded in distributing billions of dollars to disadvantaged groups, we all know that the lawsuits ruled that those were unlawful, and 3,000 priority applicants were left in the cold due to the depletion of the funds. I know that you were frustrated by this because, of course, the guiding purpose of the SBA, in my estimation, is to promote entrepreneurship and help underserved small businesses, the very ones that were denied funds. So my first question is a simple one. Should we consider additional financial relief to the most hard-hit industries and small businesses and categories that have been denied funding?
With the similar programs like the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, the Shutter Venues Operator Grant that we've been able to effectively distribute over $12 billion in relief, these hard-hit industries do need additional assistance. As I'm meeting with businesses around the country, they still need relief, which is why we're thankful that we have the COVID Economic Injury Disaster Loan to offer them. But this is a loan, not a grant. And so we continue to try to support them, though, with resources and these loan offerings. And if Congress were to, fund hard-hit industry grants, SBA would focus on effectively distributing them as equitably as possible.
Okay. And Administrator, do you know how much additional funding would be necessary to fully replenish the RRF and ensure that those that were denied funding that otherwise qualified can still receive it?
Within the RRF, we still had a pending for over $44.1 billion of requests within the system.
So theoretically, small businesses that qualified but simply were denied because we didn't allocate enough. Is that fair?
We did not finish processing all of those applications, and so those are the pending what we deem what we can guess at eligible businesses that were not immediately removed.
Okay. With my remaining couple minutes, Administrator, I want to acknowledge in a very bipartisan fashion that one of our fundamental responsibilities on this committee is oversight, especially considering the size of the support programs that Congress has initiated during the pandemic and the ones that you're administering. Every fraudulent dollar that goes out is one less that we can allocate to businesses that qualify. We all agree with that. So what can our committee do to support oversight of the SBA programs, especially the recent pandemic programs, whether that be congressional directives or additional resources?
SBA has been able to utilize administrative funding to continue to try to build in strong processes and technologies, as well as controls to make sure that these funds get into the hands of the businesses it was intended to serve. We will continue to work with the IG closely and the GAO to make sure that we're implementing the remainder of the recommendations that are in place across our COVID EIDL, PPP, and all of our relief programs, as well as our core programs. And so that continued support and collaboration is what we deem necessary to continue to support anti-fraud measures.
And we all know that, of course, you are working hard and others to identify fraud and those who inappropriately received funding. What is the current process and what's the timeline for clawing back those fraudulent loans and disbursements?
My apologies. Is that on a specific program, Congressman? Or just
more of a broad question, because there are a number, I know there's fraud in a variety of programs, but just in broad strokes, especially through the more recent programs.
Thank you, Congressman. Yes, we are working closely with the IG and the Department of Justice to make sure that if there's identified fraud, that they're able to fully prosecute and recover those funds. The IG has already worked to recollect millions of dollars across the PPP program and the COVID EIDL program, and we continue to support their work as they do so across all of our programs.
Thank you. And I see my time has expired. I yield back. Thank you so much.
Okay, so you just heard the discussion with Isabella Gunsman with regards to the restaurant revitalization fund grants. We know that $44 billion worth of applicants funding did not get funded. So it is upon Congress to pass a bill to be able to provide that missing $44 billion that will help those applicants that did not get funding. So that is still at the forefront of many people's minds, restaurant industry advocates, small business owners, restaurant owners, to get that program funded and extended so all those applicants who applied, who qualified, can get that relief. So for those of you that applied, if you applied, let me know if you got funding from the program or if you're one of those that had your award rescinded. Let me know. But I'm here to tell you it is not over. It is not over. So we're going to continue to push to make sure that happens for restaurant owners, because we know they are one of the hardest hit industries and still lacking relief. But I want you all to know too, there are other programs out here available for you all, your restaurant owners, to take advantage of. DoorDash right now on our grant tracker. Our grant tracker is a free listing on our website in the show notes, right? And in the comments that you can go to start your search for grants. DoorDash has 2 or 3. They have a big one that is a relief grant specifically for restaurant owners. So restaurant owners, go apply if you haven't applied already. Also, there are grants in your states. There is a big push, advocates for states to administer or to roll out grants specifically for restaurants. And most states do have them. If they don't have them, every day there are new grants that are coming on board. Please make sure you are checking your state for those grant opportunities. Okay, so all is not lost, but make sure that you are looking, you're applying for those grant opportunities that are out there. Even those grants that don't say it's specifically for a restaurant, if you're a small business, you meet the eligibility, go ahead and apply for those additional grants as well. So this is the last video snippet of, again, what we're discussing is the House Committee on Small Business met with the SBA Administrator to discuss her vision forward, to address and discuss issues, challenges that are currently existing or have existed with the program, and what relief is coming forward after this program has ended. Okay. And so I am going to gear that part of this hearing up. So give me just a second. All right, let me share my screen. Now, this one is very important because not only are they talking about COVID here, they're also talking about the impacts on small business with all of these additional disasters, not just the pandemic, but we've had hurricanes and floods and other disasters on top of COVID. While small businesses are trying to recover, they've been hit with another disaster. So what can we do? Right? What can be done? And you will hear them talking about the popularity and the benefits of the PPP forgivable loan program and how they can do a similar program with the EIDL to make it forgiven, or have additional programs that are like that. So give me just a second and I'm going to start it.
My question is going to be forward looking at a future program, I'm hoping. And I very much thank you for being with me in our community. The last time we saw one another, we were walking in the streets of Philadelphia and we were talking to small business owners back there. Sadly, since then, since your visit, my district was hit hard, not just by the pandemic and supply chain constraints, which I know a lot of folks have been hitting on today, but also by Hurricane Ida, and we are under a federal state of emergency. So today I want to talk about relief for our small businesses and owners who have been impacted by natural disasters that are not pandemic. Following this devastating storm, I heard from many of our small businesses in our community who are continuing to recover through no fault of their own from the pandemic and now from this natural disaster. One of these businesses was Animated Brewing, a brewery in Coatesville. And during the visit to their business, the co-owners expressed their hesitancy around applying for an SBA loan. While they very much appreciated a low or no interest option, they simply didn't have the capacity at that time to pay it back. Their losses from the storm were too great, and their losses from pandemic as well. And another business similarly informed my office that they would rather be closing their doors in the coming months rather than incurring yet another bill to pay. These businesses represent nationwide concerns with the lack of direct aid that is available to small businesses that follow a natural disaster. Natural disasters, as we mentioned, are not dissimilar to the shocks such as a pandemic. And according to the Federal Emergency Management Agency, almost 40 to 60% of small businesses are never able to reopen their doors after such a disaster. Which leads me to a question that I've heard over and over again since Hurricane Ida has hit my region. Why can't there be a loan forgiveness or grant program available similar to PPP to help small businesses recover from natural disasters, just as Congress has provided to respond to the public health crisis of COVID? Given the anticipated increase in frequency of climate change related to natural disasters such as Hurricane Ida, I'm interested in this concept and interested in your response. Do you think that the status quo is sufficiently meeting demand for natural disaster experiences by small businesses? Should the SBA play a bigger role in supporting small businesses that are recovering from a natural disaster beyond low interest rate loans?
Thank you. Yes, we do agree that recovery is a long tail for communities and for businesses. And I'd like to see the SBA engaging more in that recovery and providing support, whether it's connecting to affordable capital, if that's the right fit, or providing some other technical assistance to help those communities.
Or potentially similar to PPP loan programs that become grants with certain conditions met. So Congress set up a PPP program in recognition of the importance to small businesses, to the overall economy of communities nationwide, and to the unique and historic nature of the pandemic. Perhaps maybe there could be a federal emergency protection program similarly that parallels something like this. Do you see the parallels that exist between incidents of climate-related disasters or natural disasters and pandemic?
Businesses are dramatically affected during disasters. I mean, the FEMA data shows that if they don't reopen in 5 days, 80% chances they'll be closed within a year. So the effects are devastating, which is why it's so important to invest in climate solutions, and why we would want to continue to support our small businesses with whatever tools Congress provides to us.
Thank you. And what are the biggest lessons do you think that we learned from PPP that could be considered when crafting a similar program for natural disasters?
Well, one thing that we found is, 11 million loans. That's and seeing a lot of sole proprietors, especially, come into the program in 2021, and small employers, 20 and under, that were not served previously. We think that those are key lessons learned to demonstrate that there is a demand out there for capital, and that businesses can leverage capital to grow effectively, which is why direct lending is such an important product, because we're seeing that there's a decline in small dollar loans out there available to our smallest entities, and we'd like to try to solve for some of those huge market gaps.
Yeah, and Administrator Guzman, one of the things that I was struck by is with the crisis of pandemic and with the PPP having been stood up so rapidly, but also expanded, as you mentioned, to a vast array of businesses that have historically been considered in these sorts of opportunities and programs. We've created the neural pathways and the memory mechanisms. We've created, the business banking relationships that they now have with small businesses now have with each other. We've also created the relationships that the SBA now has with the banking industry. We really ought to be able to take advantage of this and pivot this to what will be inevitably in the future, increasingly more and more natural disasters and more people needing help with this. Thank you so much once again for visiting our community, and I yield back.
Jen?
Okay, so you just heard the discussion regarding more programs like PPP, which was such a great program because it was a forgivable loan. You have the opportunity to apply for forgiveness and have your entire loan forgiven, wiped out, zero balance, nothing to pay back. So advocates are still pushing to have the EIDL loan program made forgivable. So I get that question all the time. The EIDL program is not forgivable, but right now what they've done things or have expanded the program to have it where you don't have to start paying back for 2 years. That allows them time to try to figure out if they can then make this program forgivable. So we will continue to monitor that. So not just this program, but other programs, right? Loans are great, okay? So small businesses take out loans all the time. But when you are a business dealing with a disaster or disasters on top of disasters, and then told to, okay, get a loan, that again is making it where you're more burdened down by debt. So you can hear her petitioning, seeing what can be done to be able to provide more programs like PPP or just straight out grants that do not have to be paid back, right? So there's a lot of businesses that she said that are having to make a decision. Do I close or do I take on a disaster loan and be burdened down by debt, right? What a terrible choice to have to make for a small business. And you heard Ms. Gunsman say that if in a disaster, small business doesn't get the relief they need in 5 days, the likelihood of their survival for past a year is not good. Right. And so we know what that looks like with the pandemic. It's not just a disaster. It's been declared a pandemic that we're going in 2 years still in this thing, trying to move our way out of it and make sure that small businesses will survive. But we know that many small businesses, too many, did not make it. They did not survive. So there needs to be programs made available for those that even didn't survive, that want to reopen their business or create another business, that there's funding made available for them as well. So there was discussions around that, like at the federal level. So I'm hopeful that they will roll out some of these programs similar to that. And so I want to make sure that you all keep up to date, abreast of what's happening and what we can look forward to. On Monday, before we get into the holiday, I will be coming on to talk about the Small Business Navigator Grant Program Part 2 and what that means for you and your business, additional grant funding that may be available to you through the Navigator program, and it's all these navigators that are across the U.S. So we'll be talking about the navigators, where they are in your state, how to connect with them, what type of grants that may be available to you, and other types of resources and assistance to help you move your business forward. Okay, so that is going to be a real important video that I'm going to do. And again, that will be on Monday. So let me just remind you that please, there are state grants available. They roll out every single day. This is what I would tell you to do. Start with our grant tracker, because we have the top 10 state, or the top list of grants per state, COVID grants that are available. So every state has grants. I want you to start at your state government, then go to your county government. You're going to call them, and your city government. 99% of the states, counties and cities, have a grant program or are rolling the program out or had closed it and have multiple rounds, adding additional funding to these programs, but they are out there. And many of you all don't know that these programs exist. So use the grant tracker. We update it weekly. Use that as your first start, not stop, to finding grant opportunities local to you. I mean, not just grants, but I mean, LA County and some other counties just rolled out rent relief. I've been asked about rent relief for small businesses. LA County is giving up to $40,000 to small businesses to help them with rent relief. These are programs you can find in your state, your county, and your city government. every state, every county, every city has been given federal funding, pandemic funding, to help support small businesses. Now, what I can tell you is based on the data that the Republican states are really lagging behind in spending federal funding and spending it on small business relief and other types of relief programs. But your state, every state has relief programs, even for rent relief, maybe mortgage relief, utility relief, for sure, up to 12 months of rent relief and utility relief that you can get, right, to help your families. Okay, those are benefits that are out there, and it's been slow moving. What I do know is President Biden is putting the pressure on states to roll out these programs, to start sitting on them, to give the renters the relief that they need, because those programs have been slow moving. Not all of them are doing outreach or have the systems, proper systems to roll them out quickly and swiftly for their residents. So it's really on us to call and email, whatever you have to do to advocate for yourself. That's what I did, because they were slow for me, giving me utility relief. Okay. So I kept calling, and not just calling the same person. I escalate. I find, who can I escalate it to? Who is the top person that I can escalate this thing to get the results that I need? If the first line of defense is not working, then you have to move beyond, right? And you have to continue advocating for yourself to get access to the relief. Child care provider grants. There's $49 billion allocated for child care providers, home-based and brick and mortar childcare provider grants in every state. Check with your state for grants for childcare providers. Someone just contacted me yesterday by email asking for help. She has a daycare. Don't even know about the childcare provider grants that are out there. Please, if you have a child and you take them to a childcare provider, ask them, do you know about the childcare provider grants that are available through the state? You might want to check those out. If you don't know where to start, start at your governor's office, because not only does it help them, it will help you, because the grant money there is also there to help offset the cost that you pay in childcare. Okay, so it is good for you to encourage them to apply, because you can be able to reap some of those rewards as well. So, I mean, there are so many. I want to make sure that I'm not forgetting anything. Federal Broadband Benefit relief. Just Google that. Federal Broadband Benefit. This is a relief. You can get discount off of your cell phone, your landline, or your cable. $100 towards a laptop. These are all things that are available to you. Again, federal funding has been provided for this program, but I know they have a deadline. So check for the deadline to see, and you can just ask your mobile provider if this program is still available and if you meet the eligibility requirements. Just call in and they will tell you, because they know about the program. Just want to remind you also, PPP forgiveness, I just mentioned that. Do get your applications in. So they did update the data on PPP. A total of, over $610 billion have been forgiven in PPP loans. But I can tell you, the smallest of small businesses, those micro businesses or those gig workers, are the ones that still have not requested forgiveness of their loans. Okay, there's the highest percentage that have not requested forgiveness of their loans. So that is those with 50,000 and under. So, but if you have a loan of 150 or under, if your lender has opted into the SBA direct forgiveness portal, you can go ahead and apply through their portal. It takes 5 minutes. 5 minutes. And it's such an easy process. I have not heard of anybody to date that has gone through the SBA forgiveness portal and said that they had a difficult time or any type of challenge. But your lender has to have opted in order for you to apply through the portal. Otherwise, you apply for your lender. So my understanding, I don't know if there's any lenders left that have not opened up the forgiveness, but you have 10 months after your cover period, which your cover period is between 8 and 12 weeks. You have 10 months after that to before they actually start sending you the notice that a payment is due on your loan. So you want to get it forgiven before it gets to that point. Okay, so now I'm going to go through and try to look at, I see a lot of your comments out here and questions that are out here as well. Somebody had asked about gig workers, or if I was looking at the comments. I have to focus on what I'm doing, make sure I get the information out before I actually take a look at the comments and answer the questions. Just want to give a shout out really quickly to loyaldetermined.com on YouTube for your super chat. Thank you so much. She says she loves the work that we're doing, and she gave us a $15 super chat or super stickers. All of those go towards our She Boss Up grant fund. So we appreciate it. Thank you so much to all of you all doing your live stream. You can do a super chat or sticker with us. And we definitely appreciate it. Know that that's going to help another woman's small business. If you are a gig worker, you work for DoorDash or Instacart or Uber or Lyft, if that is you, you can qualify for the EIDL program, both the loan and the grant. Many of you all don't know that. It's not just for incorporated businesses. This is one of the programs that is open and available for you, but you need to get your applications in. Again, you can get a loan up to $2 million or the grant up to $15,000, but you need to apply before December the 31st in order to be able to get it. You do also need to make sure that you are able to, you have tax returns that clearly show your Uber, your Lyft, whatever gig work you do is business income. That's where a lot of you all struggle, is that you're still putting it, you're using personal accounts, you're not accounting for that income on your tax returns, and then you will miss out. You will not be able to get it. The SBA needs to be able to verify your tax return. That is one of their fraud measures that was not allowed when this first rolled out, that they have to verify your tax returns and that there's business income in there, that it matches what you said when you apply, as you are giving a self-certification. And once you do that, you sign and your date is legal, and you can be held accountable for any lies or misrepresentation of information that you give to the SBA. So make sure you're giving truthful and accurate information, and you have your tax returns that reflect business income on there. Okay. What are the qualifications for your business needs to be able to get government funding? Okay. So I can't go into all of the qualifications. What I would recommend that you do is get our MBE certification masterclass. We really focus on how to get certified, what the government requires to get access to grants and also contracts, billions and billions of dollars in grants and contracts. Some of those same requirements you need to be able to qualify for other grants that are out here, whether they're at your state level, county level, or city level. You definitely want to make sure you have your business records, your identification records, because those are things that they're going to be validating. You need to make sure that you have your financial records, right? So when you're talking about invoices, bank statements, profit and loss statements, all of these types of records you may be asked to provide depending on the program. If you need help with grants, we have helped thousands of entrepreneurs and small businesses. I recommend that you just pick up our winning grant application cheat sheet and checklist. It has all my tips and tricks, everything that I've done, used tools to win the many grants that I have won during the pandemic. I also taught a masterclass to entrepreneurs and small business just like you. I highly recommend that. There's a masterclass bundle where we walk through various scenarios I'm teaching, and there's a whole hour where I'm engaged with the small business owners, answering questions, going through scenarios on various types of grants, various types of relief programs to help you go out here and get this money. There is a grant for every single business. No matter if you're a startup, if you're in concept phase, you're in growth phase, it doesn't matter what your industry is. If you're a beauty shop, a consultant, have a trucking business or a logistic business, it does not matter. There is a grant available for you. There are grants in the US. There are international grants, because I get that question all the time. Yes, Canada, there are grants in your country. Africa, if you're viewing, there are grants available. I just sent 2 people an article on millions of dollars that was just given out to African entrepreneurs. Okay, so there are programs. You just need to know where to find them. Some of the same types of organizations we have in the U.S. have a comparable organization or association in other countries, and there's also programs in the U.S. that support international grants. Okay, start with our grant tracker. Use that as a tool to start your search, but continue your search for more grants, because they are definitely out there. Okay, so I hope that answers your question on government funding. Targeted grant, you had to have met the requirements for EIDL, which is your business had to be in operation by January 31st of 2020. And for the grant, in order for you to demonstrate that there was a loss between 2019 and 2020, you really had to be in business in 2019, right? So if you were in business in 2019 and you had just started right there at that deadline, January date, you don't have anything to reference from 2019, so you wouldn't qualify for the grant. So really, for the grant, you had to be operational and making money. It's not just, oh, I have my EIN, I wasn't working my business. They want to see, they're going to be looking at your numbers. So you need to have been making money to demonstrate that you experienced a financial loss. Okay. So we know that there's other types of business losses, but that's not what they're looking at. They're looking at your revenues. And every grant is looking at your revenues in comparison, especially if it's a COVID grant and they're asking you to show some type of percentage of decrease. You're going to need to have financial records to show that you actually had a decrease. Okay. Yes, you're welcome. Yep, I mentioned deadline for supplemental is December the 10th. What are the eligibility requirements? Please be more specific. So after this broadcast, I talk about a lot of programs. All of the eligibility requirements are different, but guess what? Whatever the program you're asking about, go to the website. They always tell you what the eligibility requirements are. Even for our grant, if you go to the www.shebossup.com, the grant is there. You click on apply and all of the requirements are there. Every single grant will tell you what the eligibility requirements are, what the process is, how much the grant is for, when they will be funded, when the announcements of the awardees will be. So they give you all that information. You just simply go to the website. There's a PPP loan just for businesses with employees. No, it's not. That's been a very misconception. PPP is closed. But they're again asking about more programs like it. But no, PPP was available for independent contractors, self-employed, solopreneurs, gig workers. And many of you all didn't know about it because you're late to this channel, right? Because I've been telling everybody I can, and I can't reach all the millions of business owners out there. That's why we rely on you all to share the information in time for people to be able to apply for these programs. But yes, it was open to independent contractors, self-employed, without being a registered business. You could get it. EIDL is still open. Go apply for it. Okay. Someone is in Nebraska, not in the low income, but however need funds. If this program you don't qualify for, there's many other programs. Go to we have in every video our description or our show notes, and we also pin to the comments on YouTube and drop in the comments the same information so it's easy for you all to find. So those resources will be there. Just go to the resources and use them and start applying for these programs, right? So there's other types of funding programs, revenue-based capital, loans. We're on the Kiva platform. We loan to business owners and entrepreneurs on the Kiva, KIVA.org platform. That is another opportunity for you to get funding for your business. It is not a grant. It's a zero interest-free loan. and it's a crowdfunding platform. So people like me, people like you can loan $25 here, $50 there to someone's loan campaign, a borrower's loan campaign. So you can use that. I know many peers that have done it, have loans through there, and many that also lend through that crowdsourcing platform as well. If you are if you are startup, I get a lot of questions from startup. Please go to our startup playlist on YouTube. There's information there. We'll continue to put out more videos. But if you want to know how to get funding for your business, want to know how to get free funding for your business, go to that playlist, watch those videos, and put the strategies that we give you into action. And you'll see you'll be able to get the money you need for your business or for your startup. But you need a business plan or a funding plan. Regardless, you need to know, what do you need the money for? What is the plan? How much do you need? What would it do for your business? You need to have that information. You need to know that when you're applying for any type of funding, regardless of what it is. Did anyone get the child care tax credit? Now, I know people that have. So the child care tax credit is available. I know on November 15th was the last time non-filers could actually apply through the simplified tool. I did a video on that in order to get the funds in December, by December. Otherwise, you will have to claim the credit on your taxes. Okay, my business started in January 5, 2021, so I have no taxes yet. Is there any resolution for my business without tax returns? It just depends on the program, on the grant. But for all the businesses out there, once you start your business, when you file your taxes, you need to be putting your business on your taxes. I don't care how much you make. If you made $500, you need to be including that on your tax returns. Don't listen to people that tell you you don't need to file taxes if you don't have, if you're not making $10,000 or $20,000 or $50,000. That has kept people locked out of getting access to federal funds, state funds, and other types of grants because of that type of misinformation. You need to be filing taxes if you made in an annual period in a year $600. $600. So you're thinking you need to make $50,000 to file taxes, and you don't. When you start your business, start putting that on your tax returns. So it doesn't matter. Put it on your tax returns, because you need to be able to show almost every situation, they're going to ask you for your tax returns, especially if they want to verify your income. Because some of these grants will say you have to have a maximum income of this or minimum income of this. How are they going to verify that? They go to your tax returns and other financial records to verify that. Okay, so someone is saying something about a site didn't allow to upload 1099s. I know our site is working. We've gotten several applications in. Double check when you are filling out applications that there is not an error code, and making sure that you are doing it correctly. Make sure that you're uploading the correct file type. This is any type, so whether it's our grant or EIDL, I know a lot of people struggle with that as well. Make sure you're uploading correctly. If you have an issue, just email us at hello@shebosstalk.com. But make sure that you are uploading correctly, indicating any error types, and following the instructions on the form. Okay, there's a lot of comments on here, a lot of comments. Okay, so I'm just going through, just seeing if there's any other questions. As always, even if I didn't get to them during this live broadcast, continue to drop a comment. Let us know who you are, what your business is, where you are in the process of EIDL. If you applied for EIDL, what happened with the restaurant revitalization grant, if you apply for that, where you are in the PPP forgiveness process. And if you have any questions or challenges that you're trying to overcome, leave those questions and I will follow back. But know that we have an entire playlist of explainer videos here on our channel that is available for you to apply for. As a reminder, before I close out, SheBoss Up grants are available. We're giving out 10 grants up to $2,500. Be sure, ladies that are in the U.S. and U.S. territories, to apply before the deadline. of November the 19th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. Thank you so much. We look forward to receiving all of your applications. Stay tuned, stay connected, because we have many, many more opportunities for entrepreneurs and small businesses. Continue to be the boss with amplified impact, and continue to stay safe and in good health. Have a wonderful day.